It should be shocking, but it's not. Exclusive. FEMA official ordered relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. This is from the Daily Wire. This actually happened. Again, let me repeat that. FEMA official ordered relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. Whistleblower said, quote, "It's almost unbelievable to think that somebody in the federal government would think that's okay." But is it though? Is it that unbelievable? Let's hear from Joe Biden.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And I mean, that's just the latest, right? That was just the latest. I mean, he's ultra MAGA, right? The Nazis, the fascists. I mean, you can't just call Trump a fascist leader and not and pretend like the implication is the people who support him aren't fascists. So it's almost unbelievable to think that somebody in the federal government would think that's okay. No, it's not. It's not. I mean, the leadership comes from the top. It comes from Joe Biden. I don't find it at all unbelievable, to be honest. It's shocking when you first see it, and then you go, oh, yeah, actually, that does make sense. A federal disaster relief official ordered workers to bypass the homes of Donald Trump supporters as they surveyed damage caused by Hurricane Milton in Florida, according to internal correspondence obtained by the Daily Wire and confirmed by multiple federal employees. It's sad that it's not actually shocking. That once you get past the headline, you go, oh yeah, actually, it's not actually that surprising with everything you've heard from the administration. A FEMA supervisor told workers in a message to, quote, avoid homes advertising Trump as they canvassed Lake Placid, Florida, to identify residents who could qualify for federal aid. Internal messages viewed by the Daily Wire reveal. Let's see. Here we go. Implement best practices. Avoid homes advertising Trump. Absolutely insane. The supervisor, Marnie Washington, relayed this message both verbally and in a group chat used by the relief team. Multiple government employees told the Daily Wire. This actually wouldn't seem unfair to a DEI person, right? And let's not forget that FEMA is now ruled under Biden by equity principles, by DEI. Let's see. FEMA, Achieving Equitable Recovery, a post-disaster guide for local officials and leaders. Achieving equitable recovery. What does that mean? Equitable recovery. That means you don't just help the person in need in front of you. You've got to figure out, well, who's privileged, who's not. According to your preconceived notions of privilege and oppression, who actually should get the help first? It's not the person right in front of you, right? How you can't just assume that. You haven't done your equity checklist yet. You can't just automatically help people. That would be inequitable. That's how they actually think. This is FEMA. This is real. Equity is the consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals, including individuals who belong to underserved communities of color. Persons who belong to communities that may face discrimination based on, here we go, sex, sexual orientation, and/or gender identity, including members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ plus community, persons with disabilities, persons who may face discrimination based on their religion and/or national origin, persons with limited English proficiency, persons who live in rural areas that have been systemically denied a full opportunity to participate in aspects of economic, social, and civic life. That, my friends, is not just helping the first person you come across, just helping the people who need help. You need to figure all this shit out. And it sounds really like they just don't want to help straight white men and their families. That's really what this seems like. Equity is the consistent and systematic, fair, just, and impartial treatment. How can it be fair, just, and impartial? Just because you say something is fair, it doesn't mean that it is. It's certainly not impartial treatment of all individuals. No, it's picking essentially winners and losers. Is that a real vagina or a neo-vagina? Because right now we're helping neo-vaginas first. It's total and complete lunacy. But this is the kind of thinking, this is the kind of ideology that would lead an institution, an organization to start doing things, to put out things like avoid homes advertising Trump. Well, Trump is the anti-equity, right? He's the anti-woke. So they must be bad people. I mean, if you're going off equity, maybe you don't want to help those people. They're the fascists. It actually all flows very naturally. All those people, all those lunatics wishing death on people because of the way they voted, it all flows naturally from their insane ideology. The government employees told the Daily Wire that at least 20 homes with Trump signs or flags were skipped from the end of October and into November due to the guidance. I mean, it's shocking, but it's not shocking, meaning they were not given the opportunity to qualify for FEMA assistance. Images shared with the Daily Wire show that houses were skipped over by the workers, who wrote in the government system messages such as Trump sign, no entry per leadership. So they wrote in the government system messages such as Trump sign, no entry per leadership. So this shows a total lack of fear. Right now, they probably all assumed, because they've been watching MSNBC, that Harris was going to win in a landslide. A lot of Squirrel supporters just didn't see it coming. They had no idea. They'd been brainwashed. They'd been brainwashed into only, MSNBC tells their viewers, also CNN, don't watch anybody else. Everybody else is lying. Everything else is misinformation, disinformation. Totally blindsided by reality when it hit. As I say, wokeness and far leftism, that its argument just simply doesn't hold up when it's confronted by reality. Reality always has a better argument. But the brazenness of writing that Trump sign, no entry per leadership, not worried at all. Big mistake. It's brazen, is it not? Quote, I know they're short-staffed. I thought we could help and make a difference, one of the employees said. When we got there, we were told to discriminate against people. It's almost unbelievable to think that somebody in the federal government would think that's okay. Really? Because let's go back here. They've got their equity. They're ruled by DEI and equity there. So in FEMA now, so discrimination is equity, right? Equity. You have to bring people up, bring people down. You have to deny people things, give people things to make them equal, to achieve equity. The whole thing is discrimination. It doesn't exist without discrimination. It's the whole point of it. No, regardless if they call it fair and just, it doesn't mean anything. Those words don't mean anything to them. They mean the opposite. It's almost unbelievable to think somebody in the federal government would think that's okay. But really? What did Joe say again?
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Is it so unbelievable? I volunteered to help disaster victims, not discriminate against them, the employee said. Quote, it didn't matter if people were black, white, Hispanic, for Trump, for Harris. Everyone deserves the same amount of help. Well, that's equality. That's not equity. In the equity world, right? So they've got the preconceived notions of oppressed, oppressor, of privilege, and they just automatically decide all black people are oppressed, all Hispanic people are oppressed, all gay people, blah, blah, blah. So they need to get more. We need to give them more to get that equity. We need to give less to some and more to others to create that equity so everybody ends up in the same place, just like Kamala Harris said.
And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities and do that work.
The guidance came as the Biden administration was criticized over its sluggish response to Hurricane Helene in rural areas across the country. In Roan Mountain, Tennessee, for example, locals told the Daily Wire it took nearly 2 weeks for FEMA to show up. The town is located in Carter County, which voted 81% for Trump on Tuesday. I think more is going to come out about all of this. I think the Trump administration is going to go after all of these people very hard. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.